Good morning. My name is Celine Chin. I'm the country sales manager of UiPath in Malaysia. This morning, it gives us great honor to introduce to you Injek Hizam. Injek Hizam is general manager of Digital Services Group IT and Digital Division of Telecom Malaysia. Hi, Injek Hizam. And thank you very
Hello,
much
Celine.
for taking your time, yeah, to join us today at UiPath Reboot Work Festival 2020. We are very honored to have you to join us this morning. Our team here is maximizing automation success with a growth mindset. In the next 20 minutes or so, we will actually uh, hearing from you, right? How you begin your automation journey and went about shaping an automation culture in your organization and how you plan to scale your automation enterprise wide, right? First of all, Intahism, um, may we ask you to tell us briefly about your role and also Telecom Malaysia, your organization?
Thank you, Celine. Yes, first and foremost, let me say it's a pleasure and an honor to be part of this Reboot Work Festival, this year. And in Telecom Malaysia, with all the pandemic going on at the moment, I think the title is very relevant. Everything needs to be rebooted in order to remain what you call resilient for the future. So my name is Hizam. I am today attached with Group IT and Digital of Telecom Malaysia, as you rightly pointed out, Celine. And in that role, I am responsible in driving and leading the digital transformation for the company. It's a transformative role I've been holding for the past 3 years now. Definitely has been very interesting. A lot of game-changing initiatives that we work on within the helm of digital transformation across all three pillars of people, process, and technology. So yeah, so that's what I do today for Telecom Malaysia, and then TM as a company is a telecommunications service provider for Malaysia. The main one at that effect, providing broadband and also mobile connectivity services for the nation. For all aspects of the market, be it consumers, SMEs, enterprises, and also the government. So yeah, being in this industry, I think is very interesting at the moment, given where the world is heading, given with how things are changing in how we do things and so on. So
How did your automation journey begin actually, Hizam, and how did it evolve?
so for us in TM, the larger transformation was about being able to remain competitive and be more competitive as the world goes digital, right? So the change involves us having to embrace new business models, new technology,
Mhm.
and very instrumental in or in the center of that is our ability to be able to really have our people climb up the value chain. So anything repetitive, anything mundane, anything that can be done by teams was the way to go. So that's how the whole notion of automation began in Telecom Malaysia. It was part of that larger agenda of change. And it's been going on for a few years now, but only this year, Celine, is the
Yeah.
year where we really put a program to it. Before this, it was
Mhm.
always an initiative by a specific department or a specific organization. Right, that's right. To help their own process. Saw some early success there, but then it got to us, and we started to think, you know what? If we were to think of this for the whole company, then we had that
Enterprise
real
wide.
opportunity. That's right.
Yeah.
Then we had that real
Right.
opportunity of making technology and automation at large more simple, standard, and simple for the company. So that's how
Right.
that was how it got born as a central initiative for TM in that regard.
Mm-hmm. So, so you see, like, the changes along the way, right? So with these changes in the your mindset, how do you see that Telecom Malaysia can scale our RPA enterprise wide?
Mm. That's a good point, Celine. Yeah? When we
Yeah.
initially started to bring all the silo implementations towards a more
Mm-hmm.
central COE setup, we realized that there was a few things that we needed to tackle upfront. Right. First, of course,
Mm-hmm.
there was the
Yeah.
whole platform that needed to be standardized. That's probably the easiest
Mm-hmm.
thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger matter at hand was how do we get everyone in the organization to embrace this thing called automation? Right? Because automation is so associated with people, right? And it's also associated
Yeah.
with
Lastly.
that's right. It's also associated with having to amend a business process or changing the business process. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, in our initial approach towards the automation journey in TN, we actually spent more time dealing with the actual issue at hand, dealing with what the roadblocks that was hindering people to want to automate more than the actual. Yeah, there was a lot of that. There was a lot. I mean, the big question of once my process is automated, what happens to my job? As simple as
What's next, right?
as that.
What's next? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So it became a very strategic agenda for the organization because, on one hand, as far as management was concerned, the reason why we wanted to do this because there was so much more to do, right? Given our future, given our roadmap, and so on. And we needed to leverage on the people that we have to be able to climb up that
Yeah.
value chain. So that was the thinking on one hand. But on the other hand, on the pro side, they were worried about, if this happens, especially this year, right, Celine, with what's going on, they were worried about their careers, their livelihoods. So when we saw that the two were very valid in terms of concern, right, from the top and also
Right.
from the people themselves. The moment we connected, the moment we put together a communication strategy and a communication plan, then it became like a relief, right, to the people that had to do the automation. And all of a sudden,
Mm.
everyone was jumping this bandwagon and really lining up to automate their processes. They can't wait anymore. They really want to hurry up and get rid of that mundane process so they can move on and build new capabilities, new skill sets, and embrace the new technologies that's happening today in the company.
Right.
So yeah, definitely,
So
it's
yeah.
been it's been a journey that started small, very
Mm.
focused on what you call central driven agenda to make sure that people get on board. And now,
Right.
9 months in, Celine, yeah, we started this journey with UiPath as
Mm.
well on the platform. We want to move on to the next wave, which is making it enterprise ready, right? And what that entails is we no longer want to have a unit, so-called, responsible to automate other people's processes. It's now about putting the responsibility back to the actual users or to the actual process owners who want to automate. Right? And once that funnel or that demand of automation comes in, the delivery needs to be managed like a factory. So no longer a COE. That means we have the design team that would look at the design of the bot, and then we would have the
Mm.
development team that would develop the bot, and then the operations team that maintains and operates the automation so that it becomes smooth and has high success rate. And I'm very happy to say, 9 months afterwards, there's 100 over processes in our automation funnel from 10 different divisions, and everyone is justifying for their cases now. Everyone's budgeting for their own automations, and
Right.
yeah, so and my team today becomes that group that takes on this demand, designs it, moves it to development, and so on. So it's become like a factory now. And that's what we mean by making our automation scalable and enterprise ready.
So you mentioned about the responsibility being put back to the different groups, right? So how do you manage the alignment? That every team is different, right? How do you manage to put them together and on the same, same journey towards the same automation journey that you have in mind?
Sure. I think I mean, for us, when we thought about this a few, like a year ago, it was always a case of when there are many people involved and when there is a new initiative going on, there's always a case of, I want to observe from the fence. I want to see, who does it first, and I want to see whether it's a success or a failure. Only then people wanted to start coming out into the open, right? So that's the culture. I don't know whether it's unique to us in Telecom Malaysia, but definitely a scenario or a situation that we saw. So having appreciated that culture, right, or that situation that we were in, when we initiated this whole RPA initiative, it was very important that we made it friendly, right? And we even have a persona for our robot, and we call the guy Robin, right?
Robin, right?
Friendly, yes, our
Yeah.
friendly bot, a virtual workforce that is part of us, not separate from us. So that was the first. There was a whole agenda surrounding making automation friendly, right? And that's the first. The second thing is when it comes to sponsoring the automation, right? I mean, it's like if you're going to buy something new, Celine, right? You really want to make sure that it works. You want to test it out. You want to you want to try it for free, right? You don't really want to commit anything yet and see the success. And that's exactly what we did, right? So for the first year, as in this year, the actual sponsorship of the budget or of the investment to automate the processes was centrally at my team, at the group IT and digital organization. So we put aside some money and we told the users, don't worry about money, just tell us or just identify for us what are the biggest or what are the most significant processes that would you like to automate, right? So we kind of remove fear from them, and we took it onto ourselves to make it work quickly, so that it becomes a use case. We then propagate the use case by sharing the success story, and all of a sudden everyone is on the bandwagon. So we just completed our business planning for next year, right? And this time around, we said, okay, we're not going to sponsor the automation anymore. If you want to automate, make sure you put it in your business plan. And to it now, everyone has allocated money for automating their processes now. So it's amazing how creating a safe environment for people to change, and once they're confident with that change, they'll come out. They'll come out and now they're driving us. Now they're the ones. He's up. Hurry up. When is it my turn? When is my process going to be automated?
Can't wait, right?
Yeah. To them, it's no longer about reducing the cost anymore. It's about, or people start to see by good or selected automation, it can even become a growth lever. It could help in terms of growing revenue, and more importantly, through automation, we've chosen processes that even help with customer experience. So you'll get the benefit of not only better customer experience, and on the side, there's also a lot of cost savings and a lot of productivity gain as a result of the actual. Yeah.
So you mentioned it has been 9 long months right into the journey. So what are the learnings, right, that you can share with us, with the audience? What are the tips that you may want to also suggest and best practices that we want to hear from you as well?
Yeah. I mean the good thing is this movement of automation is not entirely new, right, in the industry or across industries. So when we consider ourselves, pretty late in the actual starting of it. But the upside to that is there are so many cases out there that we could look upon and learn from. And when we designed our approach and our strategy towards the journey, we took on all these learnings and kind of put it into perspective for ourselves. Right? And some we got right, and obviously some we didn't. Among the ones that we got right is, and I would preach this to other organizations that's about to start. Try or don't start with your most critical or largest process. Yeah? And this happened to us actually 3 years ago when automation was disparate within different departments in PM. And one particular department, they took the largest process that cost them the most money and a significant amount of people to run that process, and went ahead and wanted to automate that process. The implementation took a year and a half, with a lot of suffering as a result, and finally it did go live, but the painful experience made them feel, oh my god, I'm not going to do this again. So it becomes something that hinders wanting to do more. So that was definitely one of the learnings that we picked up and we embraced in this new company-wide journey. We actually went to every division and we chose very simple processes at first. It could be a process to automate, a day-end report. It could be about doing some syncing of data. It could be about matching of payroll. But very, 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 very tedious routine processes. If the automation fails, there was always an easy fallback plan to it. But the point is, we did a lot of those. We did like 15 of those, and we did it for every division because what was more important at that point was to get the message out that it works and it's easy enough over the actual realization of benefit. So I think that's one of the biggest learnings or the biggest tips I would give to any organization out there. And the second one is, and this one happens a lot in TM as we implement large IT projects, right? I mean, we run telecommunications for the country, right? We even run telecommunications for the army, for banks. So you can imagine how paranoid we are, right? When it comes to implementing something new, you just don't want the banking network to go down, or you don't want the army's defense to come down because of a connectivity issue, right? So we really overthink and overanalyze before we start something. And with RPA, the tendency to do that is also there, but it's not the same, right? With automation leveraging on RPA, it's not that complicated. If it doesn't work, if you're telling the bot to go one way, it doesn't work, then just change the code and get the bot to go another way. So it's not that complicated. So the tip is, think big, have that that large strategy in mind, but just start, right? Don't overthink it. There's so many cases out there already, or there's so many use cases already out there. Just start. If it doesn't work, it's digital, right? If it doesn't work, change it. But start somewhere. You will not ever think of your detailed roadmap to the T before you'll get everything perfect. And if you do want to get things perfect, the worst that can happen is you just don't start. So so that's I think a tip that I would really want to share with everyone.
Thank you very much, Injazam, for your valuable insights. And we wish you all the very best in automation journey. And yes, and we see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.